Origi! Yeah! Unbelievable!
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. Another less than convincing performance, but yet another 3 points. That's 3 times in a week we've done that, and at the time of recording this pod, we're top of the league. I'm Dave Usher, editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, and I'm joined for this one by Paul Natton and John Gallagher. Alright then, Paul, we'll start with you. Sum that one up for us.
Fucking hell, it was hard work, mate, wasn't it?
Mm.
It was, I mean, we're not playing good football at all. We're having moments in games, but things are just so strange at the moment. I mean, we've had various conversations in the group chat about this over the last couple of weeks, I think, haven't we? And I think today was almost like a microcosm of what we've been seeing for a while. Obviously, we got the results, absolutely made up. And actually, I was quite surprised. The record there is actually really good under Klopp.
Yeah.
You know, I've got this thing in my head that the John Gallagher derby is like a really tight game. But,
everyone always says, "Oh, Palace away, oh no," and you look at our record there, and it's mad.
But it's not. It's not. I mean, I think we think back to the.
It's Cristanbul.
Cristanbul,
We're
yeah.
all
I think
haunted
that's what it
by
is.
that.
Absolutely. But I think what today. I mean, I think the other thing that it's easy to forget is we've actually on the quiet got a bit of an injury thing going on. There's quite a lot of injuries been happening, and we've been playing a lot of games. But even so, I think the thing that's really I mentioned it the last time I was on. I wasn't on in the week, was I? It was
Fulham.
Yeah.
It was.
And I think I sort of touched on it then. I know what we're trying to do tactically, and I can see our results. But what I can't see is how the tactics relate to the results.
Yeah.
And I'm finding it like really, it's odd, it's strange, it's difficult to watch. I don't think we are shit as such, but equally we're not really blowing teams away. I think there's a couple of individuals who are in some great form and have been all season. Shout out Virgil, shout out Mo, shout out Harvey on the quiet, shout out Joe Gomez on the quiet, shout out Allison, and Trent as well, although he wasn't that great today. But apart from that, I almost feel like there's big question marks over virtually every player we've signed since and including Konate. Sorry, not big question marks. So I don't look at any of those players and think you're shit, you're not for us, you're not good enough. I think every one of them is good enough. Every one of them's good enough. I like every single one of them. I've seen really good things from all of them. But I feel like, and this kind of goes back to why I said second this season and I'd not really looked beyond second, even though we're talking here now with us top of the league, that I feel like there's so much more to come from so many of those players. I don't feel like any of them really have been on fire or have been hitting anywhere near what I would expect them to get to, based on what we know about what Klopp does with developing players. And I think today really just reminded me of that. I just saw, mediocrity, quiet, mediocre games from too many players. I mean, the circumstances helped us, obviously, with the sending off. And then we had a couple of really nice goals when we took advantage of them being down to 10 men. And in no sense would I use the word worried. I'm not worried because we're top of the league. Yeah. I mean, and if Arsenal drop points tonight of any sort, we're still going to be top of the league. Even if they draw, we're going to stay top on goal difference. So, but I'm confused, I think, is the big thing to say. I think I'm just a bit confused about how we are where we are. I thought our progress this season was going to be slow but steady trajectory upwards, where we'd peak at about second. I thought we'd kind of like get ourselves up there maybe March, April, and stay round about there towards the end of the season after Klopp had time to sort of embed these players and get them into a groove, into a Klopp groove. But in actual fact, we've got up there much quicker than I thought we would. But then what we're seeing in terms of performances, by and large, seems counterintuitive to the results. So it's strange, mate. It's really strange. I mean, delighted with the results. Thought there was a couple of players who were great today. There's others where I'm just thinking, what's going on there? But overall, great. And then obviously I'm sure we'll talk about this much more as we go on. But obviously, again, like, I'm looking forward to what's coming next. Even though we're not playing that well, we're getting the results. Got the Manx next week. They got battered at home today. And so actually, when I try and summarise where we're at, we feel like we're in a really good place. But the performances seem to tell a different story.
Yeah, so if you look at the last week, we've had 3 games in a week. We've not played well in any of them. I didn't think Fulham was as bad as other people thought, but it wasn't great. So there's those 3 games where we've not been anywhere near our best. I think we've been absolutely dreadful in the last 2, and we've taken maximum points. So there's 2 ways of looking at it. It's like, one, any team that ever achieves anything, you don't achieve it by winning 5-0 every week and playing your best football. You achieve it by just getting the points on the days when you don't play well. So if you look at it from that perspective, perfect week, really. The other side of it is, if you keep playing like this, is it going to catch up with you, and are you going to drop stupid points? So where are you at, John? Which one of those 2 are you looking at?
I'm leaning more towards a positive side of things, even though today was largely dreadful, to be fair, until the red card. But overall, I'm looking at it from reasons Paul touched on. It's a relatively new team, new players, a lot of bedding in to do, a lot of experience went out in the summer. So to be where we are, having had the fixtures we've had, I'm more than happy overall at the bigger picture. We've been away to Newcastle. What other games have we had?
Chelsea away, Spurs away.
Spurs away, yeah. And even that, we were shafted there. So we could have been sitting here actually unbeaten, if things had gone as they should have gone.
In my mind, we are unbeaten, because that Spurs game, no.
Yeah, so you could have been sat here with the back end of last season into account as well, about 26 games unbeaten or whatever it is. And then, so from that perspective, I'm more at the positive aspect. And, if you look at Arsenal, I think we're mirroring Arsenal in a lot of ways at the moment. Apparently they've been sort of, grinding out a lot of results, whereas last season they flew out the traps, and I think they have 50 points by the halfway mark, and he ended up in mid-80 points by the end. So, they were battering teams week in, week out, but, they seem to be a bit more pragmatic at the moment out there, getting results, a bit like us in a lot of ways. So I'm thinking as the season goes on, as we get to January, February, I'm pretty confident that we can motor on when players become more in tuned into a lot of, the way, we want to play and stuff. So, and I think the squad is generally stronger. I mean, you've seen that today, didn't you? Harvey coming on. I think the bench looks good, even without Jota, on the bench and that. So, Curtis there as well. Harvey, he's been brilliant whenever he's come off the bench this season. He's had such a positive influence when he's come off the bench in a lot of games this season. So, and Gomez was outstanding when he come on. So, and even Gakpo, to be fair, Gakpo's box of chocolates, as Forrest Gump said. You never know quite what you're gonna get sometimes, but I'm very happy. I mean, we had Palace away at 12:30. I always make that joke in the WhatsApp group. Palace, whatever, it's night game, 12:30 kick-off, tough game, but generally we always win there. And again, it's just about the results, isn't it? Just keeping the pace, with the other teams at the top. So I'm absolutely more than happy where we are at this moment in time and how we're going about it. Yeah, performances haven't been spectacular, easy on the eye, but what I like about this team, it has got that sort of 19, 20, like even 18, 19, if you want to class that season as well, the mentality. It's there in spades, you can see that, especially after last season, how flaky we were for a lot of last season. So we've got that steeliness and resoluteness about us again. So I'm more towards the positive side of things where we are at the moment. You can't quibble at being top of the league. As you say, Dave, unbeaten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the positive side as well. We've got, like, points wise, you look at that and think we'd have all taken that start the season. We're doing really well. The home form's been sensational. Last week's probably the worst we've played at home, but like I say, I didn't think we were that bad last week. it's the 2 games you've had away this week. You're going to have games where you don't play away from home, and you don't play well away from home. The main thing is you come away with the points. We've done that, so I'm okay with that. The only thing that like gives me a little bit of concern is just how bad we were. Like, I think Arsenal have had games where they've scraped the win, they've scored late goals and all that, but I've not seen them play as badly as what we've played in the last 2 games. So I think like we've maybe got away with it a little bit. But if this is our bad spell and we're taking maximum points, I mean, because we will come through it. We're not going to keep playing like this. I'm not worried for a second that, you know, we're going to be in some big slump of form. I do think we'll snap out of it. And I think, you know, the heavy fixture load's probably got like a big part to do with that, plus another 12:30 kickoff as well never helps. So there's mitigating circumstances for it all. But the main thing is that we've just taken the points anyway. And it's great for us that we get those points, but it's also like the effect it has on other teams, because I know like when Arsenal scored that late goal at Luton, you just slump, don't you? You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, because you've just got that like feeling, oh, they're going to drop points here, and then they get like a late goal, and it is kind of demoralising. And we've just done that, like we done it last week against Fulham.
1-0 Villa, sorry to interrupt, Dave.
Already?
1-0 Villa.
Okay.
John McGinn.
Okay.
Super John McGinn.
Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we done it last week against Fulham. It was like 2 late goals to turn it around after it looked like we were going to lose, or like Arsenal fans and City fans, whatever, they'll have been looking at that going, okay, they might lose, but worst case scenario, they might get an equaliser and it's a draw. But we scored twice and we got 3 points, which is a kick in the balls for them. But then they go and do it themselves, don't they? Like at Luton, they get a couple of late goals, you know, they win it like in the 97th minute, whatever it was, and we're like, oh, fuck. And people start saying, does this mean it might be Arsenal's year? Because like they're getting these wins, and well, we're doing it as well. But nobody seems to really be talking about us, which is fine by me. You know, it seems to be they're just talking about like, oh, is it going to be City or is it going to be Arsenal? I'm like, well, we've got as much chance as anyone now. If you're at this point in the season and we are where we are points wise, like if you'd have said to us in August, like my prediction in August was like 3rd or 4th, depending on how the new players bed in and stuff. But if we'd have known then that Man City were not going to be Man City, maybe they will be in the second half of the season. You know, time will tell on that. They've still got De Bruyne to come back, which will make a big difference. But if you kind of take them out of the equation, which and you bring them back to, say, like the level of like us and Arsenal or whatever, they're not running away with it. If we knew that back then, and someone said to you, by what date are we on now? So 9th of December, you'll be top. And you'll be however many points, 4 points clear of City or something like that. If Arsenal lose today, we're 1 point ahead of Arsenal. So if anyone had said that to us and then said, do you think you can win the league in that situation? Of course you would. You know, to get to this point and we're top, you've got to think, well, yeah, you know, we can do it. Not saying we will, but we definitely can, especially if City carry on the way they are and they don't go on one of those like mad 15-game winning streaks or whatever. But going back to what John said there, we do tend to kick on in the second half of the season. You know, we get to like February, March, and then we do sort of go on a run. Even last year, as bad as we were doing, we still ended up, we rallied and we almost made it into the top 4. Season before was, you know, was it the season? No, season before we were really good. The season before that was like horrific, and then we ended up finishing 3rd because in the last 10 games or whatever, I think we won 11 out of 12 or something at the back end of the season, something mad like that, wasn't it? So we do finish strong. We talk about Man City going on those winning runs and finishing strong.
But
we do it as well. Like
we have shit Januaries though, don't we?
Yeah, and this year Mo's going to be away. He misses Arsenal, doesn't he?
At least
AFCON. Mo misses Chelsea at home and Arsenal away.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was Arsenal away in the cup though. I just seen someone said he misses the Arsenal away game.
No, it's the cup game, Dave.
So
it's the cup game.
It's not the league. Yeah. Okay, so
no.
Well, that's fine because we may not have played him in that anyway. You know, who knows?
Do you think some of the like recent performances is all about like not ambling through, but like conserving energy to an extent, just trying to do enough because you know we play United at home next week. I mean, we shouldn't need enough to beat them at the moment. They're terrible, but you know Anfield's going to be pumped up, and you know I think we'll be right at it. You know, aggressive all over the pitch and all that.
John, I've definitely thought about that, and there's a couple of things in my mind about that. The first one is, if you think about the title season, 1920, we definitely were doing that in the first half of the season. We were completely controlling games, weren't we? Like, we got quite a few 1-0s. We get the ball, we just play it around a little bit. We get the goal, and then we just keep the ball. I also think the way Klopp goes on and on and on and on and on about the importance of December, you also throw it, and he's right, by the way, you also throw in the fact that he rotates the team. Did you see? I shared something, an article with you today. I don't know if you saw it, boys. From, I think it was one of Paul Joyce's pieces from the Times, and we by far and away made the most changes game on game in the league. 6.3 changes per game, so we're changing more than half the team every game.
That's a lot.
So
that's surprising.
It is a lot. Yeah, and the next one
was up there, Brighton.
I think that was all competitions, by the way. Sorry, all competitions.
Oh yeah, because we're changing everyone for the Europa.
Yeah. But the second one was like 5.1. There was a few around the 5s. But I think that I think there is something possibly in their players' minds, even if it's not a direct instruction, to try and conserve energy. And also the other thing that ties into that is the way we seem to be brilliant at like pulling things out the bag. We've gone behind. How many games have we gone behind in this season? We've come back and won.
We've took 18 points
scored really late
from losing positions.
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
It really is incredible. 18 points from losing positions.
And we're also, if I'm right, I can't remember exactly how many it is, we're by far and away got the most goals in injury time in the league. We score in injury time virtually constantly, all the time. We're getting goals in injury time. So I do wonder if there's something in what you were saying there, John. I wonder if there's something to, maybe not like an instruction, but just that the players are sort of, Klopp's talking about it, the players are just thinking, we're not going to give everything, because we know, having been through title runs, we've been in lots of title races over the last few years, we know what it takes in the second half of the season. I also think that ties in a little bit today to something that I saw. I want to particularly single out my boy Trent, because there's something about Trent at the moment when he went into midfield where he's almost this kind of like languid, nonchalant style. It's almost like he's making a statement about he doesn't need to try that hard. I don't think he's that arrogant. I don't think he's got, I mean, he's very self-confident, but I don't think he's got the arrogance to kind of like almost wear it as a badge. Look how I can stroll through this game. But I do think there was a lack of intensity there in his play when he came inside, which I think mirrored the rest of the team, to be honest. And it's definitely in the mix, John, from what you're, that point you're making. I'm not clear to what extent it's instructions, whether it's just kind of like an experience of the last 7 seasons where the senior players know that we need to conserve it a little bit, whether it's just a factor of playing so much football and we kind of like take for granted that, you make 6.3 changes in all competitions game to game and the players will be fresh. Well, they're not fresh, are they? They only had like 2 hours on the training pitch between matches. So, they're not absolutely on the knees, but they must be feeling it in the legs at the moment. So
I think today,
all of those things are in the mix.
I think today was more possibly the kick-off time always like affects it, doesn't it? I mean, who knows if we'd have played like the way we did today, if it's an half-5 game, for instance, or even a 3 o'clock game, just those half-12 games are just notorious, aren't they? I mean, Julian always makes the point in the especially away, it's always, I can't remember the last half-12 game we had at Anfield, by the way.
It was the derby.
All the
others
we've
had this year have been...
They always seem to be away, even in recent years. It just feels like we're away at half-12 a lot all the time. But, I mean, I think that sort of come into play today because, the other night, Sheffield United, it was comfortable. We didn't play it all well, but it was just about getting the points, wasn't it? Again, that was like a just doing enough type of game, wasn't it? Don't do anything silly, just get the points and, move on. But I think today, definitely the kick-off time, comes into play, I think, and how we, like the approach to it and stuff. And, Palace, in the predicament there, and, they did make it difficult for us, for large portions of the game. So, but just accentuating the positives, isn't it? And we've got to take them positives for where we are at the moment.
I don't think it's conserving energy. There's 2 reasons for that. firstly, I don't really think as a player you can do that. I think you're just going out and you're just playing the game. You're not thinking, I'm going to conserve energy. I don't think you can do that. But also, if you want to conserve energy, I'm fine with that. Go out and get yourself 2-3-0 up early against these proper shit teams. I'm not talking about Palace today, but the other night, Sheffield United, Luton away, those games. It's like, go out, put them away early, and then just put your feet up and pass the ball around for an hour. That's what City generally do in those games. They get themselves 3-0 up, and then if City gets a 3-0, it usually finishes 3-0 because they just keep the ball and don't really do a great deal after that. They know how to conserve energy. I don't think we're like that type of team. I don't think we are consciously conserving energy. I think the kick-off time today plays a part. I also just think we're not particularly good away from home at the moment. I think that's something which we've got to improve on, and as the season goes on, I'm sure we will. But I don't think we've played particularly well away from home. But we have got that in us where we find a way. And we've done it like all season, really. Even the Tottenham game, we were down to 9 men in that game, and we looked just as likely to score as they did when we were down to 9 men. It
feels like a DNA thing, don't you think, now, after all these years? It's in our DNA.
It's a reverse Spurs is what it is.
Yeah,
it's like,
I agree.
They've got Spurs DNA, and we've got like Liverpool DNA. It's completely different. It's like, we'll find a way. And I think that's what we've been doing. And, this week's just like the perfect example of it, really. But I just want to go back to like the team selection. I called it the other night about Kwanzaa. I thought Kwanzaa would play in this game. It made sense. I don't know why he was taken off. I think that must have been pre-planned. It was like, well, Kanate, you can't start, but we'll give you half an hour or whatever, and Kwanzaa will just like fill in for an hour until you can come on. But what did you think? Like the changes we made? Did you expect those changes? Was there anything that surprised you? Was there anything you would have done differently? Paul, go to you first.
I expected changes. I thought there arguably should have been more changes. I personally would have started Curtis and Harvey.
Yeah.
I think I've been concerned about Dom, and to a lesser extent, but now growing a little bit, Gravenberch over the last sort of 4 or 5 games. I think both are in a run where there's not a lot coming off for them. Don't think either has been out and out shit, but equally I don't think either of them has been pulling up trees. But again, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? That's not a criticism. That's kind of where I expect them to be.
Yeah,
their talent is absolutely obvious. You know,
form ebbs and flows, doesn't it?
Of course it does, and and we know how so many players really take their time to adjust to what Klopp wants. It's very complex, tactically speaking. So there's no problem with that. I'm not criticising them at all, but I really thought I think Harvey really deserves a start.
Yeah.
I think Curtis has not let us down at all, and has been in some good form this season. So I think, he had a bit of a wobble a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it was just a game for him for some freshness. Kwanzaa, fine. I've said time and again about him. I'm kind of withholding judgment until he has some proper tests. But then I keep thinking, actually, he keeps playing these games, and he hasn't come up against any of the real big boys, but he never comes under pressure. But is that as much about the way he plays as it is about who he's playing? So I've got no problem with Kwanzaa. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, so I've got no problem with Kwanzaa there at all. So, but Endo, I suppose he's got to play. I thought he was mediocre at best today. Thought it was disappointing. This is the first time today I've been really disappointed in Endo, I thought. But I didn't have a problem with him starting. I thought it made sense with Maka out. But it was more for me, Gravenberch and Dom Szoboszlai. So, but I expect changes, Dave. I thought there'd be maybe more, as I said. How about you, or John?
John?
Yeah, I think Gravenberch's last couple of games, he wasn't. The second half against Fulham, he just wasn't good at all, was he? And I think, did I see a stat somewhere where at Bayern Munich last season, did they only start was it
2 games, I think?
2 games or something, yeah. So obviously, I think Klopp's just trying to ease him in gradually. He made a few appearances off the bench initially, but obviously he's trying to get him in the team now. And but you can just see the last couple of games or so with Gravenberch, it's just like is it time to just take him out the firing line again a little bit? Sort of new league, without hardly playing last year at Bayern Munich, etc. So yeah, I thought the changes today. I mean, last week against Fulham, I questioned the changes even though they worked. If I said to you at the game, didn't I, Dave? It just seemed like overcomplicating. Gomez coming into the midfield area, what Trent normally does and stuff. But but Enzo coming on, he scored that great goal. It was just like the subs. That's what I mean. Little things like that are going our way.
He's got the magic touch with the substitutions this year. Even the ones which look a bit weird, you think, what's he doing? They're paying off again today. Paid off, didn't he? Not just because of the goal, but like the other players who came on. Gomez giving us that width at right back, really good. Gakpo made a contribution. But I want to go back to first half, because I don't really remember hardly anything significant from that. There's only two things that stand out: Alisson's save, and
hell, what a save that was,
and the penalty that was given and then overturned. But yeah, we'll start with the Alisson save. There was a discussion in the chat, wasn't it? Was it you said, John, about the Newcastle?
Was it as good as his Newcastle one? Like, Dan's the goalkeeper, isn't he? He's just automatically said not for him, which is, but I thought it was on a par with that Newcastle one, the way he got back as well. It's just like, it's miraculous, but it's just what you'd expect. He just makes things look as easy as possible, kinds of things. Phenomenal goalkeeper.
Have you ever seen anybody with more composure, imperviousness to like fear? He's so composed. I don't think I've ever seen anyone more composed ever in football. And I think, when we talk about some of the issues around his kicking, it's actually not about his kicking for me. He can kick the ball brilliantly, I think. It's about how long he's so composed that he'll wait sometimes too long, and he gets himself into a situation because it seems almost impervious to pressure. And that gets him occasionally into a situation where he just waits a little bit too long. He's not on his toes enough. But I just think he's absolutely incredible goalkeeper. He's easily the best I've seen for us now. And I do remember Clemens. He's absolutely fantastic. And that save today for me, got another one later on as well, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, right at the end, yeah. I think the one at the end was a relatively straightforward save, I think.
That first one was, because it was hit so hard, it was close to him, the way he got, just sensational, absolutely sensational.
I think like Alisson's definitely the best keeper I've seen, not just for us. I just think he's the best keeper I've seen ever.
Would you put him above Southall now?
I loved Southall, but I think it's a totally different game back in the 80s compared to now, and goalkeepers have to do completely different things. Southall was fucking amazing. I loved him, even though he played for Everton. Loved him, still love him now. I think he's a top fella. Yeah. But it was, the other thing is, I only really seen Southall in derby games. I wasn't watching him every week because there was nowhere near as much coverage then. So I'm kind of basing it on how good he was in derbies. And Rushy scored 40 odd derby goals or something. He put loads past him. Rushy should have had double that if Everton had just had a normal goalkeeper and not Southall, because he was just amazing. But as I say, it's a totally different game back then. Plus the fact that you didn't see these goalkeepers every week. So more difficult to judge. But in terms of in the TV era where you can watch match of the day and you've got every game on and there's extensive highlights of everything, Alisson's by far the best goalkeeper I've seen. You can talk about Schmeichel.
He's better than Schmeichel for me now.
Seaman, who I never thought was any good anyway. I thought Seaman's most overrated goalkeeper, not named Peter Shilton. So I'm not saying Seaman was a bad goalkeeper, he obviously would not, but I don't think he was the specialist he's made out to be.
Benefits from that back forward and that offside shot.
I just think Alisson's unreal. And what's funny about that today is Alisson makes the two saves and Klopp gets asked afterwards, and this sums Klopp up to an absolute T. His man management and the way he thinks about things. And he did praise Alisson. He said I absolutely love him. I'm so I'm so lucky to work with him as a man as well as a goalkeeper, all that stuff. He praised Alisson, but he also said, but I think Queeve would have saved both of them as well. I think Queeve would have been there to save both of them.
I like it.
And I'm the fact that's even in his head, because he knows there'll have been people saying last week after the Fulham game, You know, look at that. Kelleher's conceded 3 goals and all that. And I didn't blame Gallagher for any of them goals last week. But I did say, I think Alisson saves like at least 2, maybe 3 of them. But that was not a knock against Gallagher. That's just saying, you know, Alisson's like, he's just so fucking good. And if he's not playing, whoever comes in, I don't care who you are, whoever comes in for Alisson, there is going to be a big drop-off because he's the best goalkeeper in the world. You're not going to have the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, 6th best, whatever, goalkeeper in the world on your bench because goalkeepers of that level are not going to be on the bench. They're going to be starting for the top team. So whoever's coming in as Liverpool's backup goalkeeper, there's going to be a clear drop-off between like him and Alisson. So Kelleher last week, I didn't think any of the goals were his fault. I do think Alisson maybe saves them. I don't think Kelleher saves the first one today. I do think he probably saves the second one because his position is going to be similar to where Alisson was. And if you're in that position, the save itself is not overly difficult. But he's just, I mean, that game today, he's only had to do 2 things in the game. But those 2 things, you look at the significance that has on the result. Like, he's unbelievable.
That's what they say. Goalies are worth 10 points a season. So like top goalkeepers.
Yeah, he's worth at least that. He's probably worth more, to be honest. I mean, last season, where would we have finished last season but for Alisson?
Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about. Fucking hell.
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary and access to the members only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook.
And you know, the funny thing is, the people who judge these things are so fucking clueless. Alisson didn't even make the list of the 10 best goalkeepers, did he?
What?
You know, like the list that, you know, like all those like
list.
FIFA bullshit awards. Oh. Alisson didn't even make the top 10. And if you look at some of the fucking clowns in that list, like I think that Onana was in there. I might be wrong, but I think he was. But the list, you're looking at them and you go...
Martinez won, didn't he? Because he won the World Cup.
Yeah, and you know what? Alisson's a better
decent keeper.
But he won the World Cup and he had a really good World Cup and he's a good keeper. I'm not making a big song and dance about that.
He's not better than Alisson.
He's nowhere near. He's not even close to Alisson's level. But I can understand why the profile, you know, it's high profile because he's won the World Cup and everything else. I can understand why he would get like that vote. So that's fine. But to not put Alisson in the top 10, and Alisson doesn't get in like the Premier League 11 last year either, which all that tells you is like these pricks who are judging these things judge it completely on what the team's done. And because we had a bad season last year, it's just assumed, oh, you know, can't put Alisson in. Alisson was incredible last year. Like, I think he maybe made 2 mistakes in the entire season, and he was making ridiculous saves every week. He was so good. The amount of one-on-ones we left him to deal with last season, and he dealt with them. You know, he's absolutely incredible, and for him to not get in the top 10 was laughable. But, I mean, the people who are making these judgments are just not... Look at this week. This is just too funny. I heard it on the radio yesterday and I had to think, is this April? Are we on the 1st of April here? Because this can't be right. Ten Hag got Manager of the Month and Harry Maguire got Player of the Month. Like Premier League Manager of the Month, Premier League Player of the Month. They also got Goal of the Month for Garnacho, which I'll let them have that. I'm not going to dispute that. That's Goal of the Month. But Ten Hag got it and I'm like, how has he got that? And they've based it just purely probably on like points picked up in that month. Nothing to do with how the teams played because they've just been like, United have just been like on like the skin of the pants, the skin of their arse, whatever you want to say. Every result, apart from the Everton game, which they won 3-0, and even that game, like Everton had so many chances, it should have been closer. But the beaten teams in the bottom half by 1 goal. That's all. That's where the points that they've got is from that. The only team they've beaten the top half apparently was Chelsea, who were 10th. And again, that was just by like the odd goal. Someone's actually given him Manager of the Month when everybody knows that they're shit. And like you look at what they're doing in Europe, and that's when they're really getting exposed for like how they are. The Cards are just getting away with it. But someone's actually voted for that and gave him Manager of the Month and Harry Maguire Player of the Month, and then that happens today, which just makes a mockery of it anyway. But going back to Alisson, that's what I'm saying. Like, people who were like judging these things are just clueless. To not have Alisson in the top 10 goalkeepers, honestly, whoever was on that panel and voted for it should never be allowed to watch a game of football again. That's like so egregious, not having Alisson in your top 10 goalkeepers. But yeah, I got a little bit sidetracked there. But yeah, so his save was amazing. I don't think it was quite on level with the Newcastle one, but you can make the argument that it was. But the other thing in the first half was, and this is just farcical, like when they got the penalty, yellow card for Virgil, and then we had like at least 3 minutes where, first of all, there's so many layers to this. First of all, are the referees not given a free kick initially because he's in a good position, he's seen it? That's like bizarre. Secondly, the VAR's looking at it, and how many replays, because we're seeing
So
what he's
weird.
watching. There was so many.
So weird.
But the weird part about it was there was probably 3 or 4 angles that they showed, and he's looked at it like 2 or 3 from that angle, 2 or 3 from that angle, and you can see it's a foul on all of them. But there's one particular angle which just had it beyond all doubt whatsoever. You only have to see that once and you're like, yeah, look, he's just clipped his right foot. He's took his right foot from under him, fouled him. And he watched that about 10 or 11 times, that one particular one. And I'm like, why do you need to see this again? You see it once and you immediately know, okay, that's a foul. So he then tells the referee on the pitch, okay, go and look at the screen. And the ref on the screen is looking at it over and over. And you could, I don't know whether we'll ever hear the audio of this. Hopefully on Howard Webb's little show that he does with Michael Owen. Hopefully we'll hear that, but I bet you we don't. And the reason we won't is because I think they said, like, the commentators have got, I don't know if they can hear that conversation, but they can hear some of what's getting said, can't they? Because they're sort of updating you on it, like during the game. They say, yeah, he's still checking, and he's told the referee that next time the ball goes out to play, stop it. So they can hear the feed, the commentators, they can hear like the VAR feed. And they said, John Brooks, who was like the VAR, he's trying to convince like the referee on the pitch, Madley. He's trying to like say to him, look, that's a foul. And Madley did not want to change his mind. He was watching it over and over, and he did not want to give that. You could tell he didn't want to overrule himself. He wanted to stick with his original decision, even though it was clearly wrong. And then when he was asking to see it at normal speed, and I'm like, whether you watch it at normal speed or not, you can clearly see that is just a foul. He's got an arm on one shoulder, and he hooks his foot around him, and he fouls him. He doesn't get the ball. He clearly fouls Endo. Endo doesn't dive. Endo gets fouled and knocked to the ground. It took so long for that. And like, that worried me. I'm like, how many times have you got to see that? But you only need to see it once to go, yeah, it's a foul. I can't let that go. Maybe if it happens in like the middle of the pitch or something, you can say, well, it's not that big a deal, but you can't like make that challenge basically on the edge of the box, take the ball off someone and then play the ball to someone who then scores. You just can't have it. It's a fucking 100% foul all day. And they took so long, like three minutes at least. I mean, what's going on? Just what's going on with that?
It is completely, VAR has just totally changed the whole sport. It's not the same game that we're watching anymore. It's shit, isn't it? It's just so shit. I mean, I think we came to the right decision in the end, but it's just like the way it breaks the flow of games, the way it just doesn't feel the same. And the way you're never sure after there's a goal, even like after you've kicked off again, whether it might even get pulled back, or there's always a doubt in your mind. There's been so many crazy fuck ups. You just think, even if it looks like they've got something right, that it might be changed, or there might be some doubt about it. It's so shit. It just needs fucking off. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And yeah, they got the right decision today, but also the point you were touching on about Madley just watching it over and over again and not wanting to change his mind. For me, the whole point was it's supposed to kind of like empower referees and take the pressure off them. It's done the complete opposite.
Yeah.
They're just absolutely under the spotlight, aren't they? All shitting themselves about being made to look stupid.
I don't think the ref should be told to go and look. I think they should, the VAR, I
should
think
decide.
it should be there for the referee
Yeah.
to say, you know what, I want to go and have a look and see if I'm happy with my decision. I don't think he should be getting told, yeah, well, you've got that wrong, but you've not got it that wrong, so we'll just leave it. Or, no, we don't like that decision, go and have a look. I think they should just look and go, there's enough there for you to go and have a look and make your own mind up. Just go and check it. And if he runs over and he has a quick look and he's like, yeah, I'm happy with the decision I made, well, then we can all like debate that and say, what a tit, he's got that completely wrong. But I'd rather have, like, if I'm a referee and I give a decision and in my head I'm like, you know what, I'm not 100% sure I've got that right, I want to go and just have a quick look, I'm fine with that. That's what it should be there for, is for them to get a second look and then make the decision.
No,
when you add somebody else into the argument, because no two people always see things the same way.
I'd take it completely away from the referees. I'd make it like manager's call, like it is in some other sport. You get one.
Oh yeah, well, I'd like to see that.
And there's nothing else. There's nothing else. And I'd also get, like, maybe there should be a panel. I think, is it Aussie rules? I was hearing somebody talk about Aussie rules after a whole round of fixtures. There's a panel that it's got like ex-players, referees, people, figures in the game, and they sit and they review every key incident.
We've got that, Paul. We've already got that. We've got
No, and they can rescind or apply sanctions. So they can look at a sanction that was given.
You can't take a goal or a penalty away. You can do
no, of course you can't do it for match changing. You can't change it for match changing things, but you can take bans away. You can also, if you thought that if somebody got away with one, you can also apply a sanction for that. But what I would do is get away with this. Everything's checked all the time. Football is a game that's supposed to flow. All the other sports where video technology works really well are games where there's constant stoppages. Tennis, cricket,
and they don't take
rugby.
3 minutes to come to a decision.
These are all sports where the game constantly stops and starts throughout. American sports are the same. They constantly stop and start. Football is a game that flows. You can have, if Liverpool are playing City, it's definitely conceivable you could go 10 minutes without the ball going out of play. So it's to me, like, it just isn't well suited as it's used right now to football. I don't see any sign that they're going to change, but it's absolutely fucking wrecking the whole sport. It's shit.
So then,
it's here to stay, isn't it? Whether we like it or not.
John, it's here to stay unless the players and managers do something about it and say, "Fuck this, we don't want it." They're the only ones who've got the power to do it. We can't do nothing. We're powerless with this. But if the managers and players all got together and said, "This is shit, let's get rid of it," they could, because if they refuse to play, there's no game. So they're the only ones who can change this. It's nothing that we can do as fans. All we can do is just like moan on podcasts and on Twitter. We're totally powerless about it. But just staying on the VAR, so you then get like the situation in the second half where the game goes on for 90 odd seconds after an incident in the box, 90 odd seconds, and then he's looking at it, and then he says to the referee, "Okay, stop the game and go and have a look at that." Now, I don't even think it's a penalty, but even if it is a penalty, that's not a good situation. That's not how it's supposed to be, is it, surely?
Well, I thought it was a penalty, but in the way it is now, the game, I have more of a problem with the VAR in the first half than that. Arsenal now scored, sorry. If that's what it is now, then that's what it is. So I thought it was a clear penalty, to be honest with you. But the issue with the 3 minutes for the first half was more the issue I had with the two VAR decisions that in the game kind of thing. So if it went back 90 seconds, that's just the way it is. If it was a clear penalty, which in my opinion it was.
See, the reason I don't think that's a clear penalty, I've only seen like the one angle of it, whereas with the Endo one, we saw like loads of different angles, slow motions, close-ups, we didn't really see any of that, unless I've missed it. All I seen was like the one angle where the ball comes in, Mateta gets his foot on it, and then Kwanzaa kicks his foot. But Mateta, where's he playing that ball to?
Yeah, the ball's gone miles, hasn't it?
He just gets his foot to it, but just knocks it away somewhere. It's not gone to another Palace player. He's not getting it himself. There's absolutely nothing going on there. And then he gets caught a split second after he's kicked the ball away. I'm like, that's just not a penalty for me.
Do you know
and
the
certainly,
second one?
it's not clear and obvious. The referee didn't give that. And now, if the referee had given it, then we know the situation with VAR. They don't like to overturn things because of the clear and obvious thing. I don't think there's enough in that for them to say to the referee, yeah, you've got that wrong, that's a penalty. I just thought that was ridiculous, but, you know, maybe that's just me. There are other people saying it's a penalty, but really soft for me, just purely because he's not got control of the ball. He's not doing anything with the ball. Two players go for the ball. One gets there first, just kicks it away to nobody, and then he gets kicked on the foot. But, like, I just think that's soft as shit, that really.
I mean, yeah, sort of, but I mean, I've got a major problem with it. Do you know, maybe it was you, John, that made the point in the chat on the second one. What if, you know, the big gap between the incident and the penalty, what if they'd scored? What if like one of the teams had scored? I mean, even with, I mean, us, yeah, maybe. But what if it's them? What if they've scored?
No, they play advantage.
It then gets pulled back for the penalty. They have to disallow the goal and then they miss the penalty.
No, if it was them, they wouldn't do that. If it was us,
is that in the rules?
I think you can just play an advantage because that's what it is, isn't it? It might be like a 90-odd second advantage, but I don't think they'd bring that back for a penalty if Palace scored in the meantime. No,
it's so fucking weird.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. But if we'd have scored, then they'd have the power to disallow our goal and go back for the pen.
How controversial would that have been? Fucking hell.
And then, so like, they score the penalty, we're 1-0 down, we can have no complaints whatsoever at being 1-0 down, because I felt like we'd be dominating the game in terms of possession, but I felt like Palace were at least as likely to score as we were, maybe more so, because their keeper hadn't had anything to do. Alisson had to make a world-class save, so couldn't begrudge Palace being in front. And the only blessing is that there's still a lot of time left. So you're thinking, okay, that might wake us up now. We might have to show some sort of response. I don't really think we did up until like the sending off happens. Now, the sending off, all I'm hearing about is like how harsh it is and all that. And I do have some sympathy with that. Only in the sense of the second booking. None of us were, well, I'm saying none of us, maybe some people were. I wasn't screaming, give me a yellow card for that when it happens. I just thought, it's a foul.
Do you know what, Dave? I wasn't screaming, but as soon as before the referee even went to his pocket, I thought that's a yellow card, because it was cynical, and they've been doing it all game.
That's what I was going to say. I think he
7
paid
or
the
8
price.
yellow cards today, did they?
Would have been there or thereabouts. But he's paid the price for other people doing cynical fouls, I think.
But I thought maybe, but even so, I just thought yet another one. Before the referee went to his pockets, I thought that should be a booking, and it was, and I had no problem with it at all, because they were doing it throughout the game.
They were, and if you're looking at it in isolation, which is what the commentators were doing, they're looking at that going, oh, that's a really soft yellow, and it is. The actual foul itself is a soft yellow, but it's in the context of what was happening. It could just be that like the referee was just getting pissed off with the fact that they kept doing it. Anytime it looked like we might like try to break out, they were just fouling. And the first booking, he steps in front of it to stop us taking a quick free kick. And again, you've got to book him for that. You can't not book him for that first one. That's not even an option. It's like, that's compulsory. If someone does that, you have to book them. And like the second one, I do feel like he's a bit unlucky. But I don't think it's this big, great injustice that, like, the narrative that the commentators were trying to push. I say commentators, I don't think it was so much, like the woman, I don't know who she was, Lucy or something that she was called. I don't think it was her, it was the other fella.
Fletch.
Fletcher.
In inverted commas, Fletch.
Oh, he was going on and on, and like, he was really pushing that narrative. He was doing me head in. And even to the point where when they said there was going to be 10 minutes added on at the end, he was really going on about that, and he was like, well, I think you're going to hear some loud booing when the board goes up. And he put the boards up and there was nothing. Palace fans, there was no reaction from the Palace fans. And I'm like, they've made you look a dickhead.
You've just been had off there, Fletch.
Unlucky Fletch. But yeah, this whole like, and then you've got fucking dickhead camel face Rio Ferdinand chiming in, and you know exactly what he's going to say when he gets asked about something. It's like you knew he was going to be going on about how harsh it was and all that, because that's just what he does. He's a tit. But I don't know if the sending off was the thing that livened us up and changed the game, or if it was
More
the fact
Harvey
we
coming
scored.
on.
Well, Harvey definitely helped, but more so the fact that we scored straight away. Now, did we score because they were down to 10 men, or did we just score? And then, either way, once we got that goal, that was it. Then it was totally.
Well, there's
different.
definitely more space, wasn't there? They didn't just go into a very, very obdurate low block. I mean, maybe it was just too quick for them, but there was definitely a bit more space. And I thought they'd just all like retreat to the penalty area immediately, go really compact, really low, and they didn't quite do that. But maybe, as I said, I've lost track of how close the goal was to the send it off. It was pretty quick, wasn't it?
It was within a minute, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
oh, well, maybe that explains
90
it then.
seconds, I think.
Yeah, it was,
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, in my mind, if I'm thinking back, obviously I haven't watched it back again, but it was Harvey for me, which made the
And
change.
Joe
He's
Gomez.
Definitely Joe Gomez, but Harvey is a tempo setter.
Yeah.
Harvey is someone. So if you think of, in my mind, if I think of like the players who are starting to carve out sort of reputations this season for themselves, Virgil is back to being Virgil the Rock. Alisson is like unbeatable. Curtis is the one who doesn't give the ball away, and Harvey is the one who sets the tempo.
He lifts
And I
the
think-
tempo. Yeah.
It lifts the sorry.
Comes off the bench and
You're
totally
absolutely right.
lifts it,
He picks it up because I think a hallmark of our football this season has been a low tempo.
Ponderous
The
at
intensity isn't
times.
there, and Harvey comes on and he lifts it. Yeah. So in my mind, I was kind of linking the two, but I think maybe the proximity of the equaliser to the sending off was a factor definitely. But I certainly felt we had more space. I certainly felt like we were able to move the ball around quicker and to have more opportunities on the ball.
And having a right back who stays out wide and
does well when he's out wide as well and whips it in. And
I've been saying for a while, I really like him at right back. I think he's totally transformed the attacking side of his game. And his attacking play was fucking boss today, taking
Really
people on and everything. You know, I really like Joe Gomez as a right back.
Whips a great ball in as well, doesn't he?
Does. And so, like, this whole conversation about should we buy a right back and all that, well, to me, there's two separate conversations there. There's the conversation about does Trent play in midfield all the time? And then the conversation, do we buy a right back? Well, in answer to the Trent thing, who knows? In answer to do we buy a right back? Absolutely not. Well, who are you going to get who's going to be like that much better than Joe Gomez?
I totally agree, Dave.
I just don't think it's necessary. He's
you know
really
what I'm
good.
going to say now? So Quansah as well. I'm happy with Quansah as Joel's replacement, which means
left side.
Where's the gap? It's a left-footed centre half or maybe a hybrid player. I just don't understand when we were looking at those in the summer. Why? I mean, you could say the same thing about mobile sixes as well. I think today showed that we need a mobile six as well. I think if we're going to play such, high risk, high reward football where we get right up the pitch, but we are.
Would that have changed that much though?
A counter. Say again.
Would that have changed that much? Because I don't think like that we gave too much
away.
No,
it wasn't like a massive issue, but I just felt there were moments where if you've got it's just another string to our bow, isn't it? I think we need it. I think if you look over the season, there's times when we are susceptible to these counters.
No,
and
I
if
agree
you've
with
got
that.
real pace there, then that really helps us. In terms of today's game, yeah, probably not that relevant. I just thought there were moments where it only a couple of the moments where it showed for me.
It could have been more relevant today if Elise and Eze were playing, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right,
different game if they both
it's like that, they're like creative sparks. Palace was like first 11 today. It was like workman-like more than anything.
And I thought they did well. You know, I've got to give Palace credit for. I thought they did a good job on us considering the amount of players they had missing, including the two best players. I thought they did as well as they could. I mean, you're replacing Eze and Elise with fucking Ayew and Schlupp. It's like a massive drop-off, isn't he? So I thought they did well. But, yeah, they didn't counter-attack that much. I thought they did as well as they could, but I didn't think a 6 would have made a great difference today. But I agree with the overall point that, it's something that we should be looking at.
Yeah, I think like...
Sorry, Paul. You think like Palace over the years, the type of team they are at Selhust, they are like that counter attack. When Zaha's been there in the past and that, and if those players were still there today, like the mobile six, as Paul's saying, would have absolutely been a necessity. I think, with those type of players playing for Palace, but there will be other teams who play like who have got those types of players as the season goes on, kind of thing, where. We will need that type of player as the season goes on.
Don't you just think it's weird that we looked at both of those types of players in the summer and we looked hard? In actual fact, we actually backed up. We backed it up with some massive bids for a couple of players. And then we just seem to have completely moved away from it. And when I look at it now, I think the need is maybe more pressing than it was in the summer. I just find it strange. Klopp almost spat his dummy out in his press conference or at some point this week when he was asked about signings. And I just think it's the one time... I know he likes to protect the players that he's got currently. He doesn't want them to feel like they're under undue pressure. He doesn't want like an implicit suggestion that they're not good enough. But he's a little bit childish about it, I think. This kind of like complete denial that we're interested in anyone until we turn round and either we're in trouble because we haven't done some business or we go and sign some anyway, despite his protestations. To me, it's glaring that we need both, really. You know, particularly when you look at the league table as it stands right now with Arsenal 1-0 down against Villa at half-time. You know, the title, we should be looking at winning the title this season and maybe winning at least one other trophy.
Yeah.
That might be contingent on making some additions. And we cannot forget how many times we get caught out by injuries in certain positions and that we end up regretting the fact that we didn't move for somebody when we had the opportunity to. I don't know. I mean, it's not... Neither point is hugely relevant to today, but it came out of your point, Dave, about Joe Gomez being really good as a right-back, and I totally agree with that. I think then he gives you cover centre-off and right-back, but then I think it then puts this emphasis with Matip out and Konate having injury, ongoing injury wobbles on somebody to cover Virgil. Yeah, and I just think there's moments where I keep seeing the need for these things and we're not doing it. Not particularly relevant to today, so maybe I've sidetracked a little bit there, sorry, but I just think that issue won't go away.
No, but just a quick point on Klopp talking about transfer. He doesn't like talking about transfers anyway, but I also felt like this week, I felt there was an element of him thinking, you know, Joel's not even cold in his grave yet and you're fucking wanting me to talk about bringing someone in.
Fair.
I think that's maybe he just thought this is not really the time to be doing that. Like, you know, the day before he'd found out that Joel had done his ACL, and I just think he didn't want any part of that discussion, and I totally get that. But it's not a one-off. You know, he does tend to be a little bit like that at times over transfers anyway. I suppose though, like if you're a manager and you're getting asked about that, you're not going to tell anyone who you're planning on buying, what type of signing. You're going to just straight bat it, aren't you? And he probably just gets fed up getting asked about it. But I do think that we need to do something in terms of the centre-back situation now. Only because, and Klopp said this himself, he said, we're fine with the four we've got. It's if something happens to one of them. And given Konate's history, you know, the fact that Konate you couldn't even consider starting Konate today because he played 90 minutes in midweek. So what does that tell you? You know, we're one in. Konate's going to get another injury. He's going to get another muscle injury. He's good for like 3 or 4 every season, isn't he? So at some point he's going to pull up with like a hamstring and he's going to be out for like 3 to 4 weeks.
Gomez with his sister. Gomez injuries are like bad injuries.
Gomez injuries are unlucky injuries.
Yeah,
they're not because of his body breaking down. Again. It could, but I'm less worried about Gomez. I think his injuries are impact injuries, and he's not constantly pulling up with like a groin strain or a hamstring or something like that. Touch wood, like hopefully I haven't jinxed him. But Gomez's injury problems are slightly different. Gomez is more likely to end up like getting like a broken cheekbone or something going up for a header than he is pulling his hamstring when he's running.
But didn't Gomez have the same injury twice early in his career?
He did his knee twice, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he had a really bad ankle injury at one point as well. But like they were from tackles or like just landing awkwardly. So, but the problem is, like Klopp said, we're fine with the 4 as long as we've always got the 4. It's when you haven't got the 4 that's when you start to have problems. So
I mean, it's more about Virgil as well. You know, as well, isn't it? He's like key. If he
you can't legislate for that though, John. If he gets injured, then whoever you're bringing in, it's like Alisson. You know, there's going to be like the drop off. You just got to hope that he stays fit and take it for granted that he will. But yeah, it's I do think because Joel's down and not coming back this season. Klopp also said about like they'll look after him, which is what we thought would happen anyway, that like there'll be some sort of short-term deal to get himself fit, maybe one more season and then he'll move on. But that's no good to us at this moment. You know, I do think in January, whatever plans they may have had for a centre-back, they need to bring it forward because we're like 1 or 2 injuries away from a title challenge being totally scuppered, aren't we?
Feels like we've
Yeah.
been here before with this
Yeah,
discussion.
we have.
Yeah.
In the past.
And what did
where
we do then? We put
Centre halves and
Fabinho there.
midfielders.
Enzo, I hope Enzo's prepared for this, because at some point he's going to be filling in at centre back this season. There is going to come a point where Enzo's playing
Even
centre
when we
back.
finished second at the year to City, wasn't he? Like, I don't think we signed anyone that January, but we were like saying, we've got to sign such and such. It always feels like we need 1 or 2 players in January.
Yeah, and we very rarely get
we
them.
very rarely. I mean, like,
Or when we sign them, we sign players in positions where we're not expecting to sign somebody,
Yeah.
like Diaz.
Diaz, that was like, out of the blue pretty much, wasn't it?
See, and even
Gakpo
that-
last year, I thought, like, I remember being
Yeah,
on a podcast saying,
Yeah.
I don't think we needed them. I prefer to start with, we signed a midfielder. Obviously, we signed about 7 of them in the summer or whatever, but, I wasn't pining for Gakpo this time last year. I didn't think, like, he was specifically needed that. I know we had injuries up front last year, didn't we? We had a lot of forward players injured. It just seems that we seem to get the same position injured a lot rather than like 1 or 2 in other positions, if you know what I mean. It just seems to be like we've had it in past seasons where we've had a few forwards injured. A couple of years back we had all the centre backs injured, so hopefully that just doesn't happen this season.
But what we've done with the signings, the January thing, was like more so Diaz than Gakpo, but I do think there was an element of this with Gakpo. Like we brought Diaz forward because Tottenham had done a deal, like Tottenham had agreed a deal, and we wanted him in the summer to replace Sadio, and we had to bring that forward because the whole Tottenham thing. And I also think with Gakpo, like United had been sniffing around and supposedly put a bid in. Again, I don't know whether that was just bringing it forward because he was Bobby's replacement. Bobby's leaving at the end of the season. The plan's like we get Gakpo in, and they just done that earlier. So whatever the plan is for like a centre-back in the summer, I think they need to escalate that and, do it in January, because that could end up like really costing us. Because
Have we
like
been linked to anyone though, Dave, a centre-back?
yesterday we got linked with I've forgotten his name, but he plays for Wolfsburg, which was Ibiza George's club, wasn't it? So he's obviously got links there.
Is he left-footed? All right.
He play. I don't know if he's left-footed. I think he plays left side. Whether he's right-footed, I don't know. But he played with Canate in the youth team at Sochaux, or however you pronounce that. I was going to say Sochaux then, but like, I thought that was me just taking the piss. Yeah, he played with Canate in that youth team. He was like his centre-back partner, so he's the same age as Canate, so 23.
Remember putting the chat a few weeks back, I was at Talk Sport and Merchant Vickery was on it saying we were linked to some Sao Paulo centre left-footed, and remember I put the clip in the chat. Oh yeah, get him signed up. He just looked like a front-footed defender, good left foot on him. Yeah, so it's just even on YouTube clips as you do, just like, get him signed. Yeah, I can't think of the lad's name though.
If that is who they're looking at, then do it. Get it done early. And if it's a Brazilian, now's the time to do it anyway, because their season will be finished. But yeah, we'll have to see with that. But, time will tell, I suppose. But yeah, back to the game anyway. So we're 1-0 down. Changes are getting made. What's the first change? Canate comes on for Kwanzaa straight after the pen.
Yeah.
Who came on with Canate? Was it Elliott or was it Jones?
No, Elliott and Jones came on together.
It was Gakpo.
Yeah,
so Gakpo comes on. Kwanzaa goes off for Canate. Gakpo comes on for Gravenberch.
Yeah.
And then the next lot of changes come. Nothing really happened there. Next changes come, and we got Gomez for one of the
Gomez
midfielders.
for Endo, wasn't it?
Gomez for Endo. Darwin went off as well.
For Harvey.
Darwin for Harvey.
Yeah.
And who went off for Curtis?
Szoboszlai.
Szoboszlai, yeah. So the changes that get made. The only surprising thing for me was that Diaz somehow stayed on for that entire game. But at the same time, none of the players who did get brought off could have any complaints of being brought off. So it's like, it was take your pick, really, wasn't it? You could have subbed anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to do... let's not do the Darwin conversation again, because we've done it to death. So, apart from to say 8 goals is now... 8 games, is now a concern. But there's no way my finger was pointed at him more than anyone else. I thought I would have taken Diaz off before Darwin, definitely. I thought Diaz was just absolutely anonymous. Dom is in a bit of a slump as well. Said that before. Gravenberch the same. we just look a little bit insipid and don't really look to have that intensity across our front line, really, you know. But if it wasn't with Mo just continually chipping in, and the others have done
and
it
he wasn't
in
good
fits and
today
starts.
either, but he's popped up when we needed him, but he didn't play well. He's not playing well at the moment.
Should we do Mo? Let's do Mo.
Yeah, no, just one quick word on Darwin. I think I need to be critical, because people think, like, you know, I'm just defending him all the time, but like, I have got a criticism of him today. I didn't think, like, he played badly. I didn't think he got any service at all. It was difficult for him to do anything the way we played. But one thing that he is in control of, or he should be in control of...
Is this about his hair, Dave?
No, it's about the offsides. Fucking stay on side. Stop running offside. It was doing me head in. It's crept in recently, that.
Yeah.
That was never really that much of an issue, but it started to become an issue. He's getting caught offside. Now, sometimes it's because he makes a run and the pass doesn't come early enough, but other times it's just, you know, it's unnecessary. It's like, fucking stay on side.
There's no need for him to be offside.
You don't need to be. You don't need to be getting caught offside like that. So that's something that needs to be sorted. And I hope that's something that they're saying to him this week. Fucking sort that out. That's not good. But in terms of the rest of his game, I just didn't think he got any service at all. There was like no through balls for him to run onto, just nothing. The way we played was just not good today. It was hard for the forwards to do anything. But yeah, the substitutions did make a difference, especially Harvey, as usual. Gomez just giving us that. The shape was just better. We had like width on the right.
That's what I touched on earlier. The squad just looks stronger, doesn't it? Like, look at the players who come on today: Harvey, Curtis, Gakpo,
Gomez,
Joe,
Kanate.
You know, that's like, you know.
It's a strong bench. The rest of the bench was kids,
and that's without Jota as well on the bench.
Yeah, we had some kids on the bench as well, like, but you're still bringing on quality players, and the substitutions do make a difference. You know, we've seen it all season. That's definitely it's been a big feature of the season, really. Is like, because too often, like, we're relying on subs to come on because the performances are just not getting it done.
Again, that article today, by far and away the most goals by substitutes in the league this season, Liverpool.
This goes back to the argument a couple of years back about the 3 subs thing being, you know, allocated to 5 kind of thing. It's like, you know, that definitely benefited us today more than the Palace. You know, we've got much stronger squad than, you know, Palace have, and obviously a toll today in the end.
And yet, there's other teams, there's other big sides, big spending sides that aren't benefiting, John.
Man City's bench is fucking dog shit.
Yeah, he chooses to keep a really small squad.
Yeah,
City have got like a core of like 16, 17, haven't they? And you'd probably say like 16 players who you know, but they've got like...
Who's that random one they've got on the bench called like Billy Bob or something? Like,
Billy Bob.
Oscar Bob, yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, yeah.
Bad Santa Alba on the Christmas period, yeah. Yeah, but City have just, you know, our squad's more, they've got like more, what would you say, well, they have had like more match winners, you'd probably say, over recent years. You know, they've lost a lot of goals, haven't they? City.
Not now.
Yeah, I don't think their squad's as strong as it was last year at all.
No. Well, they lost like goals from like Gundogan went. What?
Mahrez.
Gundogan. Remember Dancard? Gundogan. Yeah, Gundogan left, and Mahrez as well. Yeah, so they've not really replaced, like, because, you know, that Doku looks a good player, but Mahrez was quality, wasn't he?
Not many goals in Doku, are there? No. And De Bruyne are injured. Boys, listen, we need to talk about Mo.
Go on then.
200 goals today. Absolutely incredible. 5th on our all-time list. Fucking hell. It's mad. It's mad how good he is, how consistent he is.
I was definitely his goal today. Was that on target?
Yeah, I think so.
I've
yeah.
not seen it.
But even so, like, don't get sidetracked with all that shit. Let's talk about what a great player he was.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be saying that if it was Darwin. I wouldn't be arguing if it was a goal.
Al said in the chat, he now thinks Mo's our best ever player. I mean, for me, and you'll be the same, Dave, I know it's going to take a lot to knock Suarez out of that conversation. But Mo definitely now is in the conversation.
Make the distinction, Paul, because people are going to be going mad.
So
now.
yeah,
best and greatest, 2 different
best and
things.
greatest, yeah. So for me, best is purely about ability. You know, it's just all you're looking at is pure ability. And for me, I'm struggling to see how we'll ever get better than Suarez. I suppose it's conceivable because for a long time it was Kenny. And then many years for me it was Kenny, and then Suarez came along and I went, oh, okay, fair enough. But greatest, you have to consider longevity, you have to consider trophies, you have to consider loyalty, you have to consider character, you have to the whole package is in the mix. And you look at Mohamed Salah now, he is in that conversation with Dalglish, Gerrard, some people would have Johnny Barnes in there, some people have even Rush in there. For our greatest ever player, he's definitely in the conversation. I think Al said it might be Salah for him now, who's the top of that list, and that's not an outrageous shout. It's not one that I don't think I agree with that, but it's still not an outrageous shout to say that someone thinks that he's the greatest player we've ever had. Particularly, Al's not a kid, so he's seen lots of great players play for us. I think it's an indication of how consistently brilliant he's been, and for all that some of us can pick holes in things that he does or doesn't do from game to game, and I think we all have moments where we look at him and think he didn't actually do much in the game apart from score. I think those last three words, apart from score, are key, because he's just so consistent. His numbers are ridiculous. 200 goals, 5th on the all-time list. It's conceivable to me he could go 3rd from memory, I think, or 3rd, or even maybe 2nd, but 3rd, I think, on that list. If he has if he signs another contract, he's unbelievable, and I just think we're all in a mode now where we kind of take it for granted. We see there's elements of his game which are changing. We see that he doesn't have that burst of pace to rip past players anymore. I think once he's in front, he's fine. He's not slow, but he hasn't got that pace to just kind of like take people on and beat them. That seems to have gone, and we can see that he's adding strings to his bow in terms of how he supports other players and is more creative. But those numbers are insane for me. He's a serious all-time great for Liverpool, and absolutely nailed on in our all-time 11. No one gets close to him on that side of our all-time 11. He's unbelievable for me.
Oh, well, I disagree. I think his Van Cosma's in there, to be honest with you. Yeah, come on, when's Mo ever come on against Chesterfield and turn the game round?
Yeah, I was on the Kop that night. When you think back, all like
3-0 down and
great nights on the Kop and that. And
yeah,
Ishvan,
right, we've got a famous 4-all draw because of Ishvan Cosma.
Yeah. No, he's not the greatest for me, but it is fair to say he's in the conversation. I wouldn't like dispute that at all, and he's definitely in the best 11. He's definitely in my best 11.
Absolutely,
no question about it.
Concur with everything that Paul said there, 100%.
And also,
how far do you think he'll go, boys? How much further do you think he'll go in terms of numbers? So he's got 200. Do you think he can make 250?
But will he even be here next season, though?
I think he will. I don't think he's going to. I don't think
he's going to take the Saudi talk from last year.
I'm inclined to agree, Dave.
But I mean,
he's very focused on legacy, isn't he, and records. And I think he might go for an extension.
He seems like
he'll think.
Klopp said himself, hasn't he? Like it feels like this is like the happiest that he's ever been. He's embraced the leadership role. He's mentoring like people like Harvey, and I don't think he'll want to trade that to go and play in some fucking Mickey Mouse league in front of fucking 600 people like Henderson's done. Now, obviously, Mo wouldn't be playing for that shitty team. He'd be playing for one of like the bigger teams. But he's too good to be going over there. He just shouldn't do it, And I know it's money, but I'm sick of people being fucking greedy bastards. Like this week, and I'm not going to get too sidetracked and turn it into golf, but fucking John Ram has gone to live golf, despite saying, like, he was quoted like 6 months ago. He done a press conference and he said, I've spoke to my wife and we agreed what difference is $400 million going to make to our lifestyle. I've already got enough money. I could retire now. I don't do this for money. And he also said, I don't like the format of live golf. 54 holes isn't proper golf. The only reason people are going there is for money. And now he's just fucking signed for them for like $500 million, whatever it was. And it's like, it's sickening, that. It's like, how much money do you need?
Like, it's not like the equivalent of Henderson, like alienating the LGBTQ community.
In a way, just because, like, some of them will go and take the money, but they've never said anything. They're not hypocrites. It's like, okay, they've just taken the money. But if you actually come out and you make a stance about something, and you say, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go for the money. And then the money just goes up and up to the point where you go, all right, yeah. I just think, like, no, you just made yourself look like a tit. And I just think Mo's Mo's got more to him than to just
I agree.
take the money and go over there. Maybe when he's like 36 or something like that, maybe you do it then, like Ronaldo did. Maybe you do something like that, because Mo will still be playing. He's
So what do you
super
think
fit
is-
like Ronaldo. I think Mo stays
What do you think
for
his
at least
ceiling
another
is
2.
for us boys in terms of numbers? So he's on 200 today. Billy Liddell's 228.
I think
Gordon
he'll beat
Hodgson
that.
is I do too. Gordon Hodgson is 241, and
Beat that.
Roger
I think he'll
Hunt.
beat that.
This is the stretch. Roger, I think he can go third. Roger Hunt 285. I mean, Rushy, he's not going to get to Rushy 346.
No, that'll never be beat.
Roger Hunt 285.
No,
Is
I don't.
86 more goals conceivable for Mo Salah at Liverpool?
It's conceivable, but it's unlikely.
How many more did you say, Paul?
He needs another 86 and he goes second.
I mean, that's like another 3 to 4 seasons worth, isn't
20
it?
goals, isn't it?
I think it's 4 seasons now.
Yeah.
4 seasons with 20 plus goals. I mean, if you're going on the last 4 seasons, he's, people are saying he's had iffy seasons by his standards, you could say, but after that first season, what was it, 48 goals or whatever it was, I mean, he's generally consistent between 25, 30 a season. So it's possible, isn't it? It's absolutely
I think that'll
possible.
drop off slightly. I don't think he'll get quite that many.
It depends
You've got to
on
factor in how
what
many
happens with the
appearances he'll
team
get.
as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
his powers might diminish, but the team, who knows what's around the corner? And, Klopp might leave in a couple of years, or hopefully not, but you just don't know what's around the corner. I mean, feasibly it's possible, but if he got to third, I think he's done really
Third
well.
is where I think he'll get to.
Yeah, me too, I think. But I do we agree that second is possible? It's conceivable, even if not likely.
Yeah, I'd
I-
say
yeah.
it's highly unlikely, but not impossible.
Yeah, I think he'll have that in his sights,
Oh,
Going back to what you were
he'll have
saying
Rushy
before,
in
Dave.
the sights. It's Mo. Come on, it's Mo.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what you were saying before about how he doesn't want to. It's not about the money. I definitely think he's legacy focused, and I think he will. I think he'll be looking hard at that list now.
No, I agree. Yeah.
What a player!
Should we get to the winner?
Yeah.
Lovely goal from Harvey. Do we think that them having to make the goalkeeper change? Do you think that made any difference to should the keeper have maybe saved that? He's come on cold. He's inexperienced. Maybe he's like slightly out of position, because I wouldn't want my goalkeeper getting beat in that
On
corner.
the near side, yeah.
Not taking anything away from the strike, which is
Wouldn't
it's a
say,
lovely
it wasn't a
strike.
glaring mistake,
No,
but
no.
But possibility could have saved it. I mean,
Everyone thought that keeper was like just trying to break the play up and waste time, but he was actually injured.
Yeah.
I owe him an apology.
I'd just give Harvey the credit there. It was
Yeah.
a good strike. He did well,
Yeah, it was
making
lovely.
a space for himself. And I think like Mo I thought it might have slipped Mo in initially. Mo was just running off him, I think. But it was just, on his left foot from 20 odd yards out. He's always going to shoot there.
Yeah.
And it was a really good strike. He's got a hell of a left foot on him.
Do you know what that goal just showed, though, really? Like, we spoke about Harvey coming on and just raising the tempo and stuff. The thing with Harvey, he comes on, it's like everything he wants to do is positive. It's like he's just trying to get us going. And nobody else throughout that entire game even attempted to do what he did. Just like drive at them, get onto your good foot and hit a shot. Nobody even really tried to do that all day. That's the first time in the game I can remember any of our players doing that, and he scored from it.
Yeah,
Do you know the
well,
thing I
he's
like
been
Oh, sorry, John.
all season. That's what I think back to that Newcastle game. The brilliant comeback there. That sort of set the tone, didn't it? 1-0 down, and was looking a bit desperate. I credit him as much for that win as I do, Nunes for the
Steady.
2 goals and that.
Steady.
But I think he came on before Darwin that day, but he just started getting us playing a little bit and just getting
Yeah, he
that
did,
confidence
yeah.
in the game when he was looking a bit iffy, to say the least, down to 10 men, 1-0 down. But Harvey got on the ball, showed a bit of character, bit of confidence, and that sort of paved the way then for Darwin, because we got a bit of a foothold in the game at that point. So all season Harvey's been like that off the bench. And
Do you think that's why he's not started, though, John? Because I think
Because of
he's
his
unlucky
impact.
not to be started. But do you think it's because he's that good a sub?
Could well be, but I mean, as you touch on him, he's got to start. I mean, do we play this week in the Europa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I say I'd be starting Gravenberch and Dom in that game, and playing
And play Harvey
next
against the
Sunday.
Manx. Yeah,
Absolutely. Just give
Do
Harvey
you know
a
the
foot.
I don't know.
Do you know the thing about Harvey that I liked about him this season is I think you can see clear things that he's definitely worked on, which are bearing fruit on the pitch. So it's this kind of mentorship thing that he's got going with Mo. I thought that was dead sound, that in that interview they did after the game, where you can definitely see the connection between them. Mo really likes what he sees in Harvey. I think he kind of like sees a similar, not the same, but a player who kind of like he sees bits of himself in, and obviously Harvey looks up to Mo and hangs on his every word. But you can definitely see Harvey's developed his core strength this season, and I think he's, for a player of his stature, he's clearly taken Mo as his role model for that, because Mo can't be knocked off the ball, really.
Mo said though, didn't he, about I help him in the gym.
Right, yeah, and I think, but you can see that you can see that bearing fruit. But the other thing as well is I think his finishing's improving as well. He's not like he hasn't got a bag full of goals, but he seems to be, when he takes chances, they seem much more threatening now. And he's got a couple of goals this season, I think. Has he got 3 maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
And then he's got the England ones as well,
didn't he?
That's right, and he got 2 for England, didn't he, as well? So he's working on he's taking free kicks for the under-21s. So England under-21s, that is. So you look at him and you see, I get the sense that he's obviously a Red and he loves us, but he's hungry. Yeah. He's really hungry, and he's not satisfied with where he is. He's very, very focused on being a first-team player. But there's a humility to him, which I love. He's not like I deserve this, I deserve that. He's happy to go out on loan, knowing that he wants to earn his way to come back and get nailed down a squad place. Now he's becoming this kind of impact player who comes on and sort of changes the tempo of games and has an impact in games. If he carries on this trajectory, he's going to be a big player for us. You could argue he already is a big player in the context of the squad system that we have, but somebody who has even more impact on the squad. I really like him. There's a lot to like about him, not just in how he plays, but in his attitude and his developments. He's sound, isn't he? He's a really likeable guy.
He is made up with him.
Yeah, it's like one of us having the talent he's got playing for the club we love, isn't it? 'Cause, he loves the club. You can see that. He's just like
one of us having the talent to play for the club he loves.
I
think John's just opened the door for you there.
Yeah, it's just opportunities, isn't it? You get the opportunity, or if you have a bit of bad luck, and
it's amazing. Carrot on Twitter reminded us all about your youth career at Liverpool and scoring against the Manx. Fucking hell.
Okay, we'll get to this now, because there'll be some people listening who won't have a clue what's going on. Others who followed it on Twitter will know.
Can I just say before you tell the story, and you should tell it, I used to absolutely love Jamie Carragher, but he's gone beyond John now in terms of enabling your nonsense. It's unbelievable what he did today.
I know. Between him and then last week, James Skelly praising me songwriting skills.
How many times did you must have been texting Carragher constantly? Go ahead, tell the story. So it was earlier in the week. I seen a tweet from John Walters, and he'd said he'd been he's always needling Liverpool fans on Twitter, which is fine, he's just messing around and all that, no problem with any of that. So he said, a pair of boots for all you beautiful Liverpool fans. Win the match boots that scored this penalty against Rayner and Liverpool. Cara took me out in the box. VAR would have 100% given it, which basically he's taking the piss because he dived for that penalty. And he said, and no, I don't have the pair that missed the pen against Mignolet. So I seen it, and I just replied and I said, have you got the ones from that game when you scored 2 own goals, missed a pen and hit yourself in the face with an overhead kick? So that was it was 3 days later, because it was getting a few likes and retweets. I even had a Stoke fan reply and say that's a quality comment and that. So it was a few days later, he replies and he says, yes, I'll give you them and the 5 of you, because he's seen the photo of us at the Coral gig. So he's obviously gone on the timeline and looked through that. He went, yes, I'll give you them and the 5 of you £1,000 each if you can give me a pair of boots that any of you have played a professional game in. If not, keep it quiet down at the back. So I'm like, okay. So it's like that, is it? So I replied and I said, yeah, you got me there. None of us have ever played a professional game. And I said, none of us have ever tweeted about being a Tory either, though, so there is that.
which a few years ago he was putting tweets out about like voting Tory and stuff, and then he replies, and then I felt a little bit bad, to be fair. Like, he replied and he said, "Only when it suits your agenda, hey guys, must have missed plenty of others." And he quoted a tweet that he'd put out, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, where he was supporting like his local Labour candidate and saying, like, you know, vote for this guy and all that. And he, in that tweet, he'd apologised for, well, not apologised, but he'd said, a few years ago, I'm not a political person, and a few years ago I made some ill-advised comments about politics, which was basically when he was talking about being a Tory. So he walked that back, and he said, "I'm Labour now." So I'm like, you know what, fine, no problem. I'm not going to hold that against him. But then I just thought, I didn't like the whole "never played professional" comment. It didn't sit right with me.
And also, why was I catching strays and why was Chris catching
because
strays?
He looked at the photo. He didn't know which one I was. He just seen a photo of the five of us at the collar gig, and he's looked at us and gone, "Look at them five dickheads. None of them ever fucking..."
Well, he's not wrong there on
dickheads. None of them ever kicked the ball in anger. So, but the thing is, though, he doesn't know like any of our backstories. So I replied and I said, "Fair enough, John. I was just irked by the 'never played professional' comment. I was a youth player at Liverpool but got a bad knee injury and had to quit." Which, that could be true for all he knows. You know, he's just rushed to that judgment. This might be true, and I might be traumatised by this. And I said, I played a couple of games with Cara when he moved up the age groups. It still hurts when I think about what might have been. So then I messaged Cara. I was like, "Look, I need you to get on and back me up here with John Walters." So John Walters replies, "Fair enough, handshake emoji. I played with plenty of guys in the youth teams that had everything. Just bad luck at the wrong time stopped them. He's a good guy, Cara, and I bet he hasn't changed a bit." And I just went, "Cheers, John, I appreciate that." And then
it gets worse.
So then Cara weighs in and replies to my message about playing in the youth team, and he goes, "Still remember that goal you got against Man United in the Youth Cup?" And so someone, like one of the listeners, Paul Precious, replies to Cara and goes, "Do you think Dave would have made an ideal foil to Kenny Dalglish, or were they too similar?" Which is obviously like a joke from the pod. And Cara just replied, "The heir apparent."
Honest to God, my heart sank when I saw that one.
But it's too funny.
Hell.
It's like John Walters hasn't said nothing back, because me and John are mates now. We like we came to an understanding, like. You know, it's like just but for like some unlucky breaks, maybe I would have been playing. The thing is, though, it wasn't a knee injury that ended my career. It was a fucking school teacher in St. George's.
Stop calling it a career.
I said my career was ended.
Walter fucking Mitty.
Okay, stop me having a career.
At the end of the day, right, John Walters, I don't care.
Don't start.
John Walters has never played on Park Road Sports Centre on Bommy Night. That's it. Character. You've got to have tough character and mentality.
He may have played
to play
hundreds of games on Stoke on a wet Tuesday night, but he's never
played
on
a Park Road on a Bommy Night on a Thursday night. So, John, piss off, John Walters.
The funniest part of this was that...
This is how affronted John is on your behalf.
When John seen it, he was fucking fuming, and he couldn't reply to John Walters because he's already been blocked by him.
What, did you give him shit about being a Tory, John?
That's it, yeah.
It's
Funny
right.
scenes, yeah.
Oh, but yeah, it was funny because like some of the other replies, like there was someone someone was having a go at me, like, because obviously they don't know I'm only fucking joking. So someone was taking the piss about like, I could have made it, bro, you know, but for the breaks. And he went like, absolute helmet. But then someone replied to him and was like, "Mate, Jamie Carragher has just confirmed."
It was a Spurs fan, wasn't it? It was a Spurs fan.
I don't know.
Like
I didn't look. I didn't see who he was. But yeah, it was just dead funny the way like it was the replies, because Carragher had come in and just like verified it. He went, because the guy replies and goes, in quotes, "Bro, I could have made it as a pro." And he went, "You bad helmet." And then someone replies and went, "Jamie Carragher literally confirmed it, saying he remembers him scoring, Squire."
Squire.
And it was another one, and someone went, "What the fuck? I thought this fella was defo spoofing, taking the piss out of Walters." And then in pops Cara. So I'm just leaving it now. I'm not even replying to any of this. I'm leaving it just like so people are like, oh, did he play for Liverpool's youth team or not? So it's like, yeah, I'm just leaving it. But no, as I say, it wasn't a knee injury that ended my career. It was a fucking school teacher in St George's Junior School. Mr. Gerrard, his name was.
Junior school.
Yeah, I was 10. And we had the trial match for the school team, and I fucking played my arse off. I got picked for the school team. I was playing on the right wing, which I didn't like because I should have been up front, but I was right wing, and I didn't do my homework, like reading homework. I hadn't done it because I was so clever. I didn't have to do homework in junior school. It caught up with me later in seniors, but back then I could just cruise through without doing nothing. But I got caught out for not doing my homework. So not only was I dropped from the team, he actually handed me a pencil, told me to go out in the corridor and cross my own name off the team sheet that was pinned up in the school corridor. So like I've got like tears in my eyes, my hands shaking as I'm trying to hold a pencil. I had to cross my name off the list. I never played in the school team because of this Mr. Gerrard twat. And then when we got to the senior school, there was a teacher's strike and they didn't do any after school activities, so there was no school team. So I never got the chance to shine and like, you know, impress any scouts or anything like that. So Mr. Gerrard, if you're listening, if you taught in St. George's in like late 70s, early 80s, St. George's Maghull, if you're listening to this now, you're a twat. just wanted to get that out there.
And he's the reason why you haven't played 300 games for Liverpool as well.
Yeah. So stick that in your fucking pipe, John Walters. You don't know people's backstories. You shouldn't be saying stuff like that about reasons why none of us played as pro. But like, when Brownie seen it, Brownie was like,
Brownie went nuts.
He was like, will he give me 500 quid for playing semi-pro then? But yeah, that was good.
Dave,
that
you
was
scored more in 1 week than John Walter scored in his whole career at Park Road.
I know. That's the thing, John. It's just about opportunities, isn't it? It's like he got spotted at the right time. And...
All right, we've had a laugh now. Let's just rein it in a little bit.
But yeah, could have been the heir apparent to Kenny, but you know, Mr. Gerrard happened, didn't he? Bastard.
Are we done on today's game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Can't think of anything else. They're just got the points, sitting pretty. Forget about how we played and just hopefully we get ourselves back into form next week, because home game against United's the perfect time to start playing well again. But we do play well at home. Even last week, like I say, that Fulham game wasn't that bad. Like, and people who thought it was really bad, well, look at the last 2 games. It's night and day. Fulham was just us not quite at it, and come up against a team that played well on the day. The last 2 games, not great, but Anfield's a totally different story. We're playing well at home. That United game next week, absolutely can't.
The atmosphere will be boss as well, won't it? That'll really help. And also, it'll be dark. It'll be dark.
Is it the R4 game?
It's the R4, yeah.
And
like it was last year.
That'll really help the
7-0.
atmosphere as well.
Yeah. No, I can't wait for that. I'm really.
And it looks like, I mean, as things stand, like about 25 minutes to go, Arsenal are losing 1-0. Even
they'll
if they
get
draw,
2 stoppage time goals here.
Yeah, probably.
That's how it's going for us,
now.
Yeah, a draw, we stay top because of goal difference. So
So with Villa, if they beat Arsenal and City in 3 days, that's you know.
You have to take them a bit more seriously if they do.
Yeah,
and they're playing good stuff.
Yeah, at home especially, they're not great. They're a bit like us actually. They're like really good at home and not great away.
15 games on the run this will be if they hold on here at home winning.
Yeah.
You know, you'd expect that from us or City, but for like one of the sort of lesser teams, if you like, to carry out that kind of run, it's like, you know, if I'm Villa, I'm thinking like,
they were shit at Anfield as well.
Yeah, it was early in the season, wasn't it?
They were, weren't they?
It was like, but I'm thinking that if they've got anything about them, they go big in January. You know, they won't get a better chance either challenge for the title or get top 4 even. So.
Where do you think they need it, John? Where would they go big? What position?
I don't watch them that much, really, but I don't know.
What do they need? Maybe more goals?
Probably more, yeah, if Watkins maybe gets it, you know, he's scored a lot of goals if he gets injured. I don't know.
It's more so depth. I think they've got a good team, haven't they? But you wonder like what kind of depth have they got? So I don't know. I'm not worried about them finishing above us, but I do think they're way better than I give them credit for. Like I didn't think they were that good. I remember saying like I thought West Ham would finish above them just based on how the 2 teams played at Anfield. West Ham looked far better than Villa. But no, Villa's home form's like sensational, isn't it? So Yeah, if they hold on to that today, I think we have to take them a bit more seriously. But I'd rather they did hold on to it, just because I'm more worried about Arsenal than Villa at this point.
Rightly so.
But I do think Arsenal probably ends up getting like at least an equaliser, just because of how the season's gone. They tend to find a way, like us.
Yeah, they can grind it, can't they?
Yeah.
And the only game Arsenal lost, they were screwed, weren't they, against Newcastle away?
Oh yeah.
So they're a little bit like, not to the degree we were at Spurs,
No, but they've
even
got a
so,
legitimate beef, haven't they?
yeah, the foul on the centre back, I can't remember who it was now, but yeah,
Gabriel
shouldn't have been
was.
allowed. Gabriel, was it? Yeah.
So we got anything else, or are we done?
I think we're done.
Are we
Mate.
previewing next week's game, or?
Do that.
No,
Thursday.
we'll preview the United
Thursday.
game after Thursday. I'm not
Oh,
previewing
yeah.
Thursday's game because
I keep forgetting we've got to play Thursday.
Yeah, it's a dead rubber, and
Yeah.
it's all change, isn't it? So.
yeah, dead rubber. No idea what the team's going to be. The only thing about that, I want to see Ben Doak playing. You know, my dad always calls him Bendo. My dad's like, Bendo should be playing. I'm like, his name's Ben Doak. And he's like, well, it's close enough.
Have we
So
won
we
the
can add
group,
that to
have
the
we?
collection.
Yeah,
we've
we've
won
won
it.
it,
Yeah,
we've
we've
won
won
it,
Right,
it.
so
Yeah.
you'd just play Bradley and all them then, wouldn't you? Doak, Bradley,
Yeah, I think we will.
Kwanzaa.
There'll be a few who need games, you know, maybe like a few senior lads, you maybe get Gravenberch playing or Jones, whoever's not playing on Sunday, a couple of them might play, but yeah, you play as many kids as you can, so Bradley, Doak, Kwanzaa, McConnell, maybe Chambers, maybe, yeah, Queeve will be in goal. Don't know about Cade Gordon, if he's fit enough to play, then yeah, give him a go as well.
Is he training now, Dave?
He was on the bench last week for the European game.
Was he?
Or the week before. Like,
Did
whatever
you say
the last-
McConnell, Dave, as well?
Yeah. He was on the bench today.
Oh.
Yeah, just give them all a go, because it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, especially if we won the group, yeah. Just let them enjoy it, whatever happens.
Defo.
Yeah,
Right.
so, well, we'll be back after that game anyway, and we'll be previewing the United game after that one. So, yeah, that's us done for tonight. So, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.
Well, the best word I can say, but will describe this, was boom. Ooh, what was this? It was really good.